I know that sometimes it can be a little intimidating trying to figure out what fabric you want to use for your project. So I wanted to walk you through some tips and tricks for picking out fabrics and coordinating them for your bag. So I'm kind of just going to walk you through my thought process of when I go through to pick fabrics for a bag, and this one in particular. So the first thing I usually like to do is pick the main fabric of the bag. And in this case, the main fabric of the bag is actually the pocket of the bag. So we'll talk about it as the bag front and also refer to it as the pocket piece. So you have a couple different ways that you can go with this. In this bag, I've chosen a novelty fabric, which is kind of a fun way to go. Most of the time though, I like to stick with a large scale print. Usually it's a floral. So in this case, with this bag, if I were to make a bag out of these fabrics, I would go ahead and choose this floral for the main part of the bag. Because the flowers are large, so it'll look nice on the bag, and because it's got a nice amount of negative space on the bag. So when you lay it out into a big piece, it just looks like a nice fabric that you would want to use for a bag. Then to pick out the other fabrics, I actually usually like to just kind of lay it out on my cutting table the way that it would be sewn on the bag. So the next fabric I like to pick is the accent fabric, which is actually the bag, but we're just going to call it the accent fabric because it's a little easier to refer to this way. So it's the little part of the bag that kind of pokes out over here on the side of the pocket. So there's a couple different ways you can go with this. Generally, I like to use something that contrasts with the main fabric to kind of give it a little bit of pop. So if I were to do it with this fabrics, I like this white fabric. I think it's a nice light fabric. It's a nice contrast to the dark of the floral. So what I actually will do is go ahead and just lay it out, and then I will put the fabric down and just kind of fold the corner under to see if I like how that fabric is poking out the side of the bag. And looking at this, I do really like that. I like the contrast of the geometric with the floral, and I like the light and the dark. The next fabric that you need to pick is the fabric for the band of the bag. So same thing with this, you could go more monochromatic. In that case, would be this print that's the same color as the main print. And usually I like to just go ahead and fold it over, just so it kind of mimics that bag band, just like this. So that looks nice if you want like a monochromatic look. You can also, if you want to, pop it out a little bit. So in this fabric, I've chosen to kind of pop out the pink a little bit, just to see another option with that. And personally, I kind of like how the lighter fabric looks on this one. You can also mess around with it all different ways. You could put the pink in the background, use this as the main fabric. Kind of fold that over so you kind of get to mimic the look of the bag. And then you could even use the check at the top of the bag. Kind of just depends on preference and what you like. I'll show you a couple other options with a couple different fabric choices. So another one that I like to do is, I think this is a fun bag to use kind of a fun print. So with this one, we have these really cool tropical inspired prints, make a cute summer bag. So for this one, my first instinct would be to go ahead and use this print for it. Same reason, it's a large scale print, there's a lot of negative space that you'll be able to see when you've got your bag put together. Now, for something a little bit fun, I would probably go ahead and choose the pineapple print for the accent on the bag. And then for the band on the bag, you could try another kind of fun geometric, like this little kind of tile print, which looks really nice. Now, if you really love the pineapple print, which I really do love the pineapple print, so I do think it would be really cute to make a bag and reverse it. So you could do a couple different things. You could put this as the accent fabric and then make your pocket out of the pineapple. Kind of fold that under just to see what that would look like. And so then you've got the dark as the accent in the back, and then go ahead and do your band also out of this. There's lots of different ways that you can play around with that one. You can even, if you really love, like in this case, if you really love the pineapple print, go ahead and put it on the accent and the band because it would look really nice. You don't have to use 3 different fabrics if you don't want to. And then another option I wanted to show you, this is kind of my go-to for making this bag combination. I love using a large floral for the main part of the bag, and then I like to use a more contrasting kind of not really a solid, but something without a lot of different colors for that accent fabric to really make this main fabric pop out. So I'll kind of fold this under. And then my very favorite fabric to use for the band fabric, as you can probably tell, is a stripe. So in this case, there's this really nice ticking stripe that would look really great at the top of the back, at the top of this bag. And same thing, you can go ahead and reorganize as you want. You know, honestly, sometimes if I'm stuck, I'll try a couple different options and then I'll kind of leave them on my sewing table, walk away and come back in a little bit, see kind of what I still think looks good. But you could do the same thing with this. Switch this around, use the more solid color at the top. Just depends on your personal preference. So I hope those tips gave you some ideas when it comes to picking out fabrics for your bag. If you're still stuck, my recommendation is to stick with all fabrics from one fabric line because the designers have gone through and specifically made them to coordinate with each other. So there's usually always a smaller print and a larger print. The colors match, and there's usually a geometric print that looks really good with the bag.